So Donald Trump is already working on how to put a spin on things when he loses in November. And this shouldn't be a shock to anyone because this is exactly what he did back in 2020. Very early on, he started saying the only way that I could ever lose this thing is if there was fraud. And he said he wouldn't accept the results because he would have to take a look at it because the only way he could lose is fraud. And he started saying that they would use COVID to cheat. And he started saying that we needed to get rid of early and absentee voting because they would find a way to cheat with that. And then when he lost, he came out and said, "See there, folks, I told you so." And his followers were so gullible that they fell for that. They didn't realize that he was using one of the oldest cult leaders' tricks in the book by telling them that anything negative said about me is fake news. There's no way that I could ever lose unless the game was rigged against me. And he's already doing that again. When he was in New Hampshire recently, he said this. He said they used COVID to cheat, and they did a lot of other things too. We're not going to let that happen. You can never forget history because if you forget, you never recover from it and you repeat. So he's already telling them, if I lose, it's going to be history repeating itself, and you can't forget that I never lost the first time. A win for Donald Trump in November would justify everything he's been saying this entire time. He would use that as a way to say, "See there, look, the whole thing was rigged." He would never question the election, though, if he wins. There's no way he would ask a question about that. And if any of us questioned it, he would call us crazy. But he's already planting these seeds, and he's telling them, it happened to us before, and if I lose in November, it will be history repeating itself. But there was something interesting that happened in New Hampshire when they was kicking out a heckler. I stumbled across this clip where a heckler is being removed from one of his rallies. And he's doing this whole, get him out of here. He's doing this whole shtick. But at the very end, he said something that was very interesting to me. He said, "You know that guy is paid by Soros, right?" He said, "Yeah, they pay them to do this." He said, "Because what's happening is they're weaponizing them against us because we're so far ahead in the polls." He said, "They may be MAGAs, but they'll see that money in front of them and they'll have to take it and they'll turn on us." So he's saying that his own voters will be bought off by Soros. He's planting that seed to where if it falls too far in the other direction, he can say, well, even my own voters turned against me because they waved money in front of them. And there'll be people that'll say, "Yeah, look, man, look, he said Soros was going to buy him off, and that's what happened." He's always got a built-in out. Now, if you've ever studied or read anything about cult leaders, if you've ever read anything about Jim Jones or David Koresh, I encourage you to do so. I really do. Go look into how they convinced their flock that they had God on their side and that they would protect them from all enemies. Go focus on Jim Jones and the way he talked to his crowd, and then look at how Donald Trump talks to his crowd and tell me that Donald Trump didn't rip everything he's ever said right out of Jim Jones's playbook. Jim Jones was a very sick and sadistic human being. He was absolutely sick and depraved. And he convinced over 900 people to end their own lives for him. And early on, I began to see and connect the dots between the two because Jim Jones would always tell his flock that any bad press was the devil. Any bad press was fake news. And also, they're coming to get us. They're coming to stop us because they don't want me to take you to the promised land. It's the devil trying to stop me from protecting you. And he sat and told them, hey, they're going to come for you. They're going to try to take you. They're going to try to come in here and shut down what I'm doing. He would get on like a bullhorn at night on this big loudspeaker, and he would wake them up out of their sleep. And this was all for mind control. He would wake them up out of their sleep to tell them that there was people coming for them, and there weren't. There weren't actually people coming, but he told them that to get it in their mind and to scare the living shit out of them that, oh no, they're coming for our way of life. He even went so far as to faking a shooting. He went so far as to have someone come in and fire blanks at him, and he falls back, and he's got a packet of fake blood. This is no joke. Go watch these documentaries. This really happened. And then he raises up like that God healed him. This guy did everything he possibly could to brainwash and manipulate his followers and their minds. And he convinced 900 people, more than 900 people, to end their own lives. And then you look over at Donald Trump, and everything he says is taking a page right out of that playbook. And he's telling them, go to the Capitol, fight like hell. What's he going to say if he loses again? You think he's going to say, oh, well, I guess we just can't win this. Let's all just go to the house. You think he's going to say that? I don't. I have a feeling it's going to be history repeating itself all over again. And we can't have that in this country if we're ever going to have democracy, okay? Somebody just has to put on their big boy pants and admit when they lose. The very first election that I ever voted in was Bush versus Gore. And I cast my vote for Al Gore. And I was so pissed and I was so angry when Al Gore came out and said, while I don't agree with the Supreme Court's decision, I have to accept it and we have to move forward. I was madder than hell for a few days. And then I put my big boy pants on and I got over it. And I came back and I voted again in 2004 and we lost that one. And I said, okay, I'm not liking this. I'm not enjoying this at all. But I came back again in '08 and I voted and we won that one. That's just how it goes. You win some, you lose some. And when you lose, what you do is you go back to the drawing board and you say to yourself and to your party, how can we connect with the people that we lost? It's that simple. That's what you do when you lose. You come out, you accept it, you say, hey, we fought a good fight. We didn't win this time. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's see what we have to do now to connect with the people that we lost. That's how it should be. But as long as Donald Trump is in the political arena, that's not what we're going to get. It's going to be, I didn't really lose. It was all rigged against me. And you're going to have people like the Carrie Lakes of the world and like Marjorie Taylor Greene and like every other MAGA Republican that will never accept defeat, because they've now bought into this shtick and this gimmick that the whole thing is rigged against them. And when are we ever just going to get back to being reasonable? When is the voice of reason finally going to get the microphone back? We have allowed this buffoon, this flaming, dangerous buffoon, to have the microphone for so long. We have to be the voice of reason, and we have to stand up and combat this stuff, not with violence, but we have to do so with facts and with evidence and with the voice of reason. Because if we don't do that, we're not going to have a country.